Are you having trouble finding quality writers at an affordable rate? Hey there, I'm Brady with brandbuilders.io, where we help you build the online business of your dreams. Today I want to talk to you about how to hire a writer on Upwork. These are the same tactics we've used to create a team of writers that can produce over 1 million words per month. Hit the like and subscribe buttons below and keep watching to the end to figure out how you can hire the best writer for your business. So the way this video is laid out is first we'll talk about my top tips for hiring writers, then I'll walk you through the Upwork hiring process and filtering out, and then I'll offer some closing advice as far as hiring and keeping quality high. So my pieces of advice when it comes to hiring writers are first, be very specific in what you're looking for, what you expect, their pay, all of that. Second, give your writers everything that he or she needs to succeed. And third, hire fast and fire fast. So let's talk about the be specific one first, and then we'll hop over to the screen and you can check out how we create jobs on Upwork. So you want to be very specific as far as what you're expecting in the job post itself. So when you create a job post on Upwork, go ahead and talk about who you are and what your company is. Talk about the ideal outcome. So when a writer hops on with you, what's the best possible result that can come about from your relationship? So be specific about the job, be specific about the expectations you set for them. How many words are they expected to produce per week or per month? How many articles are you looking for? Are you providing the keywords? Are they getting the keywords? And then be very specific about money as well. What I've found is the more specific your Upwork job post is, the more applicants you tend to get. So let's hop over to the screen and I'll show you how we can create a job post on Upwork. To post a job on Upwork, you're going to need to create a client account, and your homepage is going to look something like this. So to create a job post, you just click post a job, and now it's time to create our actual post. You just want to be as honest as possible here. Is it going to be short or long-term work? For our writers, we do intend to hire for the long time, for sure 3+ months, and then as many hours as they want most of the time. And the name of your post is pretty much the only thing I recommend keeping pretty generic. So I've heard it both ways, like you should create a super specific job name and you should create a pretty generic one. I've had best experience with creating generic ones. What I find is when the job name is super specific, something like cat lover needed to blog about cats, then you tend to get a smaller number of applicants and really kind of limit yourself on who's applying to your job and how many outstanding writers you can get. So I like to name my job something pretty generic: content writers looking to create blogs. And that's perfect. As far as job category, content writing, creative writing, just pick the one that's most applicable to you. You can see more options, but for me, it's going to be content writing. And now we get to the job description. So I have a pretty specific model that I use for the job description, just something like this. So that everything in the brackets is something that I would replace and fill in for your own job. So first I like to have an introduction. This is just who you are. So something like, hi, my name is Brady. How are you today? And that's perfect. And then we go into the what we're looking for. So for our job, we're looking for some writer to produce blog content. You might be looking for a very technical writer. You might be looking for a doctor or an engineer or whoever, but explain who you're looking for and who you're not looking for. So you're not looking for someone who is Stephen King level writing, or on the flip side, you're not looking for someone who has very low quality, who's just a beginner English speaker. So whatever you're looking for doesn't matter, but you do need to say it in the job description. So explain what you're looking for and explain what your expectations are going to be for both sides. So here's where I say, hey, I've got the templates, I've got everything you're going to need to succeed. You just follow the instructions, do the research, and write the article. Then you talk about what's going to happen going forward. So if they go with this project, what's the test article going to look like? What are the next steps going to be? What is your test article going to look like? How long is it going to be? And then, super important, how are they going to get paid? It's very important to establish this in the job post itself. If not, then you're going to end up negotiating with the different freelancers. And what I like to do is I like to put a range. So say I'm looking for writers in the 4 to 6 cents per word range, and let your writers pick within that range. So clarify all the details here, and then I like to close my job description by thanking them for looking at my job description and asking them to apply. It is nice to have kind of a call to action there so they know what's expected of them and they know what to do next. So we're going to scroll down and hit next, and then it's going to ask you some more details about your job before we get to the final stage here. So is it a one-time project? Is it ongoing? If you're doing some kind of writer work or hiring writers, it's probably going to be ongoing. I sometimes do like to add screening questions. They're not necessary. If I have a very specific type of article that I'm going to be producing, then I like to ask if they've ever worked on something like this before. It doesn't qualify or disqualify them if they have or have not, but I do like to know if they have any experience in my niche and how much I'm going to be expected to train them from now on. So if you're writing, say, Amazon affiliate articles, then I would ask them, have you ever worked on an Amazon affiliate site? And then expertise. Now, you don't have to spend a ton of time here. This is all optional, but I recommend filling it out because it's going to help show your job to the right kinds of people. So for the content writing services, I would say content writing, research, let's see some more. SEO, kind of, I really like to leave this out. What you find is when you get SEO writers on Upwork, they tend to be lower quality. The content deliverables, we're going to say blog content, articles, sometimes an ebook, maybe writing topics, and just make this relevant to your business. You can search skills if necessary. Language is going to be English. And then additional skills, so I'm going to say website content, blog writing, article writing, SEO writing. None of these are super important, just fill those out as needed for your niche. Now on visibility, I tend to leave mine as anyone can join, and then depending on the scope of the work, one or more than one freelancer. And then your budget is going to depend very much on your type of business. You're going to have to fill this out yourself. For most writers, I recommend paying a fixed price, like price per word, as opposed to paying by the hour. For test purposes, I'm just going to say $5. Level of experience very much depends on your job. And then if you are paying by the hour, they're going to ask you how long you expect this project to last. For mine, we would love to keep the writers around for more than 6 months as long as they want to stay. And then a time requirement, whatever's best for your business. You review and then you post a job. And this is going to open it up to applicants. Let this sit for a little while and then your applicants are going to come in. Once you've got your job post created, you're going to have applicants start rolling in over the next day or so. I recommend waiting, somewhere between 6 and 24 hours, kind of let some applicants build up and then start to look through their proposals. As far as filtering goes, one thing that always kind of sets me off right off the bat is when they say like, "Dear Sir/Madam." That just tells me right then and there they didn't read my job description. They're not very detail oriented, and you don't have to have a very detail oriented sales guy, but you do have to have a very detail oriented writer. So that turns me off right off the bat. Go ahead and give them a thumbs down. No good, look for someone else. And then I also recommend checking their sample articles. Now, remember, these sample articles are what they believe to be their best work. Their best work. So if they have grammar errors, if they have mistakes, if they're formatted really weird, if they have these huge, enormous blocks of text that are bigger than your head, then those are all good signs that maybe this isn't a great writer for you. I will say here that I never expect that any of my writers have the sample articles in the niche that I'm going to be in or the exact type of article that I'm looking to produce. So if we're looking to write Amazon affiliate articles or whatever, then I never expect them to have that type of article. The way I know how good they are at the type of article I want them to produce is I give them a test article. So once you've filtered through your applicants, given the big thumbs down to everyone who said "Dear Sir, Madam," to everyone who had serious problems in their sample articles they sent you. Now it's time to pick our favorites and send them all a test article. What I recommend is start with something simple like 500 words and say like, "Hey, here's what I want it to give the same article to all of them. Say, here's what I want this to be about. Here's the keyword." And then I recommend making this as specific as possible. So give them an article outline, give them expected word counts for each section. So if you have 500 words total, I want 50 words for the introduction, I want 300 words for the body, I want 100 words for frequently asked questions, and then I want a 50-word conclusion or whatever. I recommend making that template very specific because once they turn this into you, once they give you this test article, then it's going to give you a very good idea of how well they follow instructions. And it's also going to give you a very good idea of how good this writer is. So don't feel obligated. If you send them a test article, you are not in any way obligated to hire them. That's what the test article is for, to figure out who you should not hire. There's always room for improvement, and I think that every decent writer can become a good writer, but if they're not already where you want them to be, then it's probably best to pass on them. Just tell them thank you, pay them for their work, and say you're going with somebody else. But once you have found your awesome writers in the price range you're looking for, who turned in a really good test article to you, it's time to make sure that they can succeed on your team. So now we're moving out of the be very specific and we're moving into the give them everything they need to succeed. One thing I recommend for all of your writers, all of your projects, all of your articles is you need to have a template. This is just going to ensure that no matter how many writers you end up hiring, because I guarantee you will have different writers than your first hire, whether you hire more or that person quits or you fire them or whatever, you're going to have different writers. You need to have a template, which means you need to create a template. That's just going to guarantee that the standard across the work you get is going to be consistent. I almost guarantee that whoever you hire, unless you're paying them big bucks, is going to be working for someone else at the same time as they're working for you. And there's every possibility that they can pretty much forget who you are and forget your requirements and forget your standards. It happens all the time if you don't have a template. So you need to have this template that shows them word counts, that shows them an exact structure for the articles, that tells them what's going to be expected. I like to have a little checklist and in the bottom of mine. But you want to give them this template, and then when they turn in work to you, especially the first few articles, be sure to read those with a hawk eye. You want to watch every mistake, every single error, and you want to provide feedback on that article. What I recommend is you provide as much feedback as the writer can get. One thing I have noticed over time is that whenever you excuse an error, that error tends to be repeated and multiplied. So right now you might think, well, it's just like a random capitalized word, no big deal. But if you don't hold your writer to high standards, then I've noticed that those standards start to slip. So give your writer that template and then always be providing them feedback on what they can do better. Now, this feedback period can last literal months before they're where you want them to be. That's okay and that's normal. The rate of improvement is not as important as making sure that they're always improving. Even if those improvements are kind of slow, you don't really want to have to say something more than once, but twice is okay, but you never want to have to continue saying it every single time. If they're just not improving at all, then it's time to get to step number 3, which is hire fast, fire fast. You don't have to find the perfect writer for your job. I guarantee you there are tons of writers out there who want work, and I think now more than ever there are more and more people working from home all around the globe. So I guarantee there are people who want to work with your business. There are other writers out there. So hire fast. You don't have to find the perfect one. Find someone who's awesome and then train them up. And then if it's just not working out, don't be afraid to end that relationship. What might be happening is they're not enjoying the work, they're not enjoying the niche, and it's the best thing for both of you if you sever the relationship. Don't allow a bad writer to continue working with you, and don't string a bad writer along by allowing them to continue performing at a low standard. So that's how to hire a writer on Upwork. Let me know in the comments below what's your biggest struggle when it comes to hiring. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.